Hello, please don't mind my face. It is Monday. No, Sunday. It's Sunday, October 1st. I look crazy because I'm like ridiculously hungover. I was so hungover all day today. It's now like 8:30 at night. And I feel a little better. We watched Knock at the Cabin earlier. You'll have to let me know if you saw it. It's based on the book, or it's an adaptation of the book Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, which I read a couple years ago. And I remember not really liking the book. I liked the movie okay, but there are pros and cons. It is different from the book, though. A lot of people talked about it when it first came out. I think I promised to do a book versus movie adaptation, and then I couldn't get a hold of the book to reread it, and I also didn't watch the movie because I was waiting until I reread the book, but now I've sort of said screw it, and I just am doing this. But I wanted to come on here because I am doing Becca's Spookoplathon for October. I've been really enjoying mood reading, so I'm gonna just roll as I go, and I'm here to pick my first book. I probably won't start reading it right now, but I just wanted to pick it so that I can start reading it if I want to. So I'm using my computer to do this again. Right here I have the board, I have the rules over here, and I have the dice roller. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll the dice. 9. Okay, great. And we start at go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So purple, which I believe the prompt is to pick a book with a purple cover. A book with a mostly purple cover. So I'm gonna go look for that and I will be right back. Okay, so I've narrowed it down to a couple of books on my Goodreads. So here we have Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I have a couple of books by this author on my TBR. I haven't read any of them. I believe this is like based on Mexican mythology. Yes, fairy tale inspired by Mexican folklore in the 1920s. So that sounds interesting. As you can see, I hope it comes off here. This is all purple, like the background. So I don't have any books that are like super purple, but ooh, and that's somebody's booty for Skims. So sorry about that. I also have Boys I Know by Anna Gracia, excuse me. This is like a YA contemporary. Seems like it could be fun. And then the other one I have is The Women of Troy, which is the sequel to The Silence of the Girls, I think, which is a retelling of the Trojan myth from the perspective of one of the women who gets taken as one of Achilles' like lovers or like slaves, basically. So this I read the first book in this series a couple years ago, and it'd be nice to finish up a duology. As you can see, this is the least purple of them, so I probably won't end up reading this, but it's really going to depend on what is available and what I'm in the mood for. So let me flip it around. If you watched my September vlog, which was like the last 2 weeks of September, I talked about a couple of books that I was in the middle of, that I was still in the middle of, and I am still in the middle of them. Spoiler alert, I haven't read anything today. So I have a physical book, an audiobook, and then I have an ebook that I've sort of started, but I'm only like 5% of the way in. So my thought, what I said in that vlog, was that I could potentially use that ebook to fill a prompt of Bookopoly if it did, which it's not purple on the cover. It's a black and gray cover. I also said that I might just like, since I'm barely into it at all, I've just like literally read part of a chapter, I might just put it down for now and then get it again later at a later date. So that being said, I'm going to look for, I know I get through audiobooks pretty quickly, so that might be the best way to go about this TBR. But I'm going to look online with my library apps and see what I can get an audiobook of, or ebook. And I'll let you know what I end up picking. Marvel, you look so handsome in your costume. Come here. Come on. Come on. What are they doing up there? Do you want me to take it off you? Are you sick of wearing it already? I'm sorry, baby. Last time we were at Costco, we got this pumpkin creamer. It is so good. And my coffee machine is just letting me know that it's ready. Also, I got a sink full of dishes, so we're not going to look at that. But, and isn't this mug cute? It's from Matt's sister, because she lives in NOLA. So she got it for us. She gets us New Orleans themed stuff all the time. We also have this dish rag that is a little dirty, so probably should be cleaned, but it's cute. Hello. It is now officially Tuesday, October 3rd, and I have listened to some of All the Boys I Know, or The Boys I Know. Not All the Boys. I think, anyways, I'll explain why I got that confused in a second. The Boys I Know by Anna Gracia, I think is her name.
And this is about a girl named June who is Taiwanese American, and she lives in the Midwest somewhere. And she really likes this boy Reese at her school, and they are science lab partners, but her mom is very strict. Taiwanese mom wants her to play violin, be the best that she can be. She has an older sister named Wendy who got a full ride to Northwestern. I don't remember which school, but her mom wants both of the girls to end up going there, but June is pretty sure she's not going to get in because she's like, it's like a really hard school to get into, and she claims she's mediocre. She describes herself as like third place, which is pretty good. Like, it's not bad, but she's just not number one at everything like Wendy was. And so that's a point of contention with her mom. She also has a crush on this boy named Reese, like I mentioned, who is her lab partner. And they're sort of like, they're not dating, but they're like hanging out. They make out sometimes. And she has this grand plan that she's at her friend's party at a cabin. She's going to try to give him a BJ. And he basically like rebukes her advances. So she's really butthurt by this. And she's like, pretty embarrassed by it. He doesn't come to school for a couple days. I think there's more to that story. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like reeking right now of a miscommunication between them. But she met this other guy in the interim named Brad, who, per the synopsis, she's going to start hooking up with. And then like the lines between like what they're doing and whether they like actually have feelings for each other is going to like blur. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes, but I'm not like super loving it right now. But, you know, it does kind of remind me, it's like reminiscent a little bit in the writing style of Prep by Curtis Sittenfeld. And I think that's wrong. Okay, so it's not reminiscent in the writing style because Curtis Sittenfeld's Prep is about this girl's 4 years at prep school, but it's told from her like adult perspective looking back on it. And this definitely is told by June in the moment, but just the way that like things are written, it feels very like adult looking back on being a teenager and not very teenager-y, if that makes sense. And by that, I guess I mean like June really to me feels very like she's jumping to a lot of conclusions, but the reader can tell that she's jumping to conclusions. And maybe the reader can always tell in these situations, but for some reason it's coming across as very obvious to me that like there's something else happening here that she's just not considering. So that's that. I'm working from home today. I just wanted to pop in, give a quick update. I'm probably gonna heat up lunch here in a minute. It's like 11:30, but I'm getting a little peckish. So I might heat up some quiche that I made the other day. But yeah, I will let you know when I have another update. Hello. So I just updated you. I'm still listening to this book. I'm a little over halfway through, but I decided I'm gonna try to roll again because like I mentioned, I like to have a physical book and an ebook at the same time. And I'm trying to actually get the ebook that I have out, which is The English Patient, to go onto my TBR. So we're gonna see if I can do that really quick. If not, no big deal, but we're just gonna see. Also, I'm like kind of in the mood to plan my next read. So I'm gonna show you my screen so I can roll dice.
Okay. So 7. Great. Last time we ended up on purple down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stephen King. I don't know why I zoomed in like that instead of like this. Okay, great.
So the prompt for Stephen King, I believe, is to either read a Stephen King book or read a book with like royalty in it somewhere, or like royal words in the title. So I'm going to briefly look through my TBR, see if there's anything I want to read that fits that, and let you know. I don't think The English Patient does. I could potentially stretch it because in England there is a queen. Well, I guess now a king, right? I don't really know. But there's like a royal family, but I don't think that's going to work. So I'm just going to look through really quick and see what I can find. And maybe I can just find an audiobook to listen to when I finish this audiobook, because I think I'll finish this one today, probably based on how it's going so far. Hello. So after looking through everything that I have, and everything that I'm like wanting to read, like in the mood to read, I've decided I'm going to pick up Edge Dancer by Brandon Sanderson to fulfill the like set in a court, whatever prompt. This is a novella in his Storm My Archives series. So I've read the first 2 books. This is book 2.5. If you'll recall, at one point I was trying to read one Brandon Sanderson a month, and I was really good at keeping up with that. And then I just got really behind. And so I haven't read a Brandon Sanderson book in over a year now. I think my last one was August or July of last year. So I did get Arcanum Unbounded as a gift from my friend Amanda. I don't remember what it was for, but I have it here. And this is Edge Dancer. So it says on Goodreads that it's 272 pages. So I'm going to read it. I'll read you the synopsis on there because I believe that it isn't, like, I think it's a companion, not like a direct sequel, but it might feature characters from the Stormlight Archives. I'm not really sure. But 3 years ago, Lift asked a goddess to stop her from growing older, a wish she believed was granted. Now in Edge Dancer, the barely teenage nascent Knight Radiant finds that time stands still for no one. Although the young Azish Emperor granted her safe haven from an executioner she knows only as Darkness, court life is suffocating the free-spirited Lift, who can't help heading to Yeda when she hears the relentless Darkness is there, hunting people like her with budding powers. So, it says court life, and that's what I'm gonna count as like a royal word. Because let me read you, it doesn't matter. You know the actual prompt is like set in a court or castle or with royalty or something, or royal words in the title. I'm counting it. So yes, I'm going to read this. I have a physical copy. I also have both Arcanum Unbounded and just Edge Dancer on its own as on hold for my library for audiobooks. We'll see if I get them. If I do get them, I'll listen to it. If I don't, I'll read it physically. It won't be a big deal. But I do want to finish the other book I have physically before I start reading this one physically. So it's good that I have another thing going right now. So I'm half tempted to try one more time to roll something else, but I think I might just, I might roll something else if I don't have either of those holds in and I'm in the mood for an audiobook, because I will need another audiobook when I finish this audiobook, because that's how I get the majority of my reading done. But anyways, I just wanted to pop on, say that that's what I'm doing, and I will let you know when I have another update. Hello, it's Thursday, October 5th, 6th. Sunday was the 1st, 2nd. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The 5th. Welcome to my kitchen again. It's been a while since you guys have been in this part of the house, but here we are. Also, don't mind the pimple patch I have just sitting on. I get really bad hormonal acne, like behind my jawline basically, and then like down my neck. And it usually like it alternates sides on which side is going to be like acting up. So previously I had like a bunch of stuff over here that I've gotten to finally calm down. And now I've got like one right up here and then like a couple like right here. And then this one just on my neck that they're like not pimples. I don't know what they are, but they're like really below. I think it's cystic acne or whatever. Sorry if this is gross. They're like below the surface, but I keep pimple patches on them because I want to pick at them, but that's not good for your skin. So I'm trying to be a better person. But I did want to check in because I finished The Boys I Know, or All the Boys I Know, or whatever that book was called. And here's the thing. I gave it 3 stars, I think, on Goodreads. It's like a 3.5 star. I rounded it down because I was bored of it for so long. But it's about this girl, June. I think I've already sort of discussed this, but she's Taiwanese American. Her mom is like very strict and wants her to be she feels like her mom wants her to be just like her sister, Wendy. Wendy got a full ride to Northwestern, I think the one in Chicago, or like north of Chicago, whatever. And she always played violin and was like first chair in violin. And Wendy was also, valedictorian and all these things. And June is always like third place at violin things. And June is always, like she's not quite the top of her class, but she's not like falling behind either. Like she works hard, but she's not like, she doesn't feel like killing herself to be number one to like compete with her sister. And that's like her whole thing, this whole book, which is something that honestly I can kind of relate to. I refused to do any of the same activities as my siblings growing up. I'm the youngest of 4. Not because any of them were like so amazing at whatever they did, or I thought my parents would compare us, but I know that it's kind of inevitable to compare yourself at that point. So I think technically one of my sisters did choir for a little bit and then dropped off, but that's what I did. I did choir and I started doing theater because none of my siblings had done theater. So that's what I was doing. But like I didn't want to play basketball or tennis because I had a sister who did that. I didn't want to do swimming because my other sister did that. I didn't want to do golf or band because my brother did those things. So like, you see what I'm saying. But anyways, she's also dealing with, like, this book is basically like a year of her life, like her senior year of high school. So she's trying to figure out where she wants to go to college and like how she's going to make a name for herself when she's out of this town. But also it like really revolves around her relationship and crushes on boys that she has, which to be fair is like to an extent pretty relatable, because I like definitely felt when I was her age that like there were eras of my life kind of defined by the people that I was interested in romantically. However, as an adult looking back, it's like, it's not really about them, it's about you. If that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but like she starts out really liking this boy Reese from her AP biology, I think, class. And she doesn't feel like he's reciprocating to her properly or the way that she want her feelings to be reciprocated to her. Like he's not very vocal about how he feels about her. He just kind of wants to make out and that's it. He doesn't really call her his girlfriend, even though other people refer to them as boyfriend and girlfriend. So there's all of those issues. And then she breaks up with him basically because she meets this guy, Brad, who is instantly very interested in her and is like teasing with her. And she and Brad inevitably have a falling out, and she meets this guy when she's doing a college visit, and she's like, maybe this is the one for me. And it's just very interesting the way she's like really hyper fixated on the boys that she's interested in. And she even like kind of analyzes this in the book. But it's one of the things that's different about her and Wendy, and I think that's why she holds on to it so much, is that Wendy never really dated anyone, and Wendy was just so focused on school and violin and getting to college, and now she's so focused in college on getting to med school that it's just like, that's the way that June feels different, if that makes sense. But this was a very like rambly update. I just feel like I didn't ever feel as connected with the character of June as I would have liked to feel, considering as I'm saying all of this out loud, it seems so relatable to me, but something about the way that she was written, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I really liked how like introspective the writing was. I think I mentioned already that it kind of reminded me of Prep by Curtis Sittenfeld, which that book is about an adult woman looking back on her 4 years in prep school and like analyzing herself and her friend group and her crushes and whatever she was doing from an adult lens. And at times this book kind of felt like that, but also June was so very much still like 17, 18 years old. So it didn't ultimately like really capture that. I don't know. I'm again kind of rambling, but I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I'm kind of tempted to round it up to 4 stars because the more I'm thinking about it, the more it seems like something I like. But also I'm trying to be more, not vicious, but like honest with my reviews, which might mean that it's a 3-star read for me, which is what I have it at right now. But anyways, that's my update. I need to get another audiobook for the drive today because I'm going to my friend's wedding in Kentucky this weekend, and my husband and I are driving. It's like an 8-hour drive, 7.5-hour drive. I've made the drive before, it's not a big deal. But we're going after work today. So I'm working from home because I also I have to get my oil changed before we can go. So I have to do that. And then I'm going to get my hair done. So next time you will see me, my hair will be short and dark because I'm changing it up. This strawberry blonde was my summer move, but it's October, so it's time to do something different. And I'm sick of having long hair, to be honest with you. So there's that. But it's like as soon as I get my hair to like be actually kind of long, like this is pretty long for me. As soon as it gets to this point, I'm like, cut it off. But that's what I'm doing today. I don't know if I'm gonna use another Spookoplathon prompt to pick an audiobook for the drive, or I know I have an audiobook from audiobooks.com called Other People's Things. And then I can look through my TBR and see if there's anything like a thriller that I want to listen to, or like a horror book or something that I'm interested in. So I'll let you know what I end up reading for that. But yeah, that's my update. Hello, it's the same day. It's several hours later. And as you can see, my hair is short and brown, which is exactly what I wanted. I think I'm gonna have to get a new eyebrow pencil. I don't know if you noticed this morning, but I filled my eyebrows in way darker than I normally do because I knew I was getting my hair done darker and I wanted it to not look crazy. Matt has not seen it yet, and I did not tell him that I was gonna change my hair because I always like, I don't know if it's oversharing, but like I don't really keep secrets. Not that like my hair color is a secret, but I don't, like I tell Matt everything that happens in my life all the time constantly, and then he will get a haircut and not tell me. And I don't know, it doesn't bother me that he doesn't tell me, but I'm like, you weren't just dying to tell me that? So anyways, I booked this haircut and color last week, and it's been like on the tip of my tongue to tell him so many times, but I didn't. And so I'm really excited to see what he's gonna say. He knew that I was planning on going dark again. Like I've been talking about wanting to dye my hair brown for like fall, winter. And I've been talking about wanting to cut it off. pretty short. I haven't had it this short in a while, but I'm excited. I really like it. I think it's very fun. I also got my oil changed, and while I was getting my oil changed, I finished The Line of Beauty finally. So I mentioned before, I don't know if I've talked about it in this vlog, but this book, this behemoth, which isn't even that long, it's less than 500 pages, but for some reason, like the way it's written, it won the Man Booker Prize at some point. I don't remember when it was published or any of that. It's like 90s, I think, or early 2000s, like 2000, early 2000s. But I saw this guy, Nick Guest, and Nick is, how do I describe Nick? He's gay, and at the beginning of the book, he's like 21 or 22, has just graduated from Oxford, and he grew up working class, but he has gone to live with his friend Toby from Oxford, Toby's parents' house. I don't know why he's moved to London to live with Toby's parents, but that's what he's doing. And so he lives with Toby's parents. Toby stays there some of the time, but is not always living there. It doesn't really talk about where Toby goes when he is not living in the house. Sorry if you can hear the dogs chewing, by the way. They're munching. They decided now is a good time to eat because I'm in here, I guess. But Nick lives with these, and they're the Feddens. And I don't know, frankly, I meant to look this up before I talked about it here. The Feddens might be a real family. Like, this might be based on real events. I truly have no idea. I don't know anything about the 80s or Parliament. But George Fedden is an MP, I guess. Don't really know what that is, because PM is Prime Minister, which I believe is Margaret Thatcher at this time. And so it's a lot about, like, the contrast between, like, working class people, like Nick's family, and the Feddens, whom he lives with. And also Nick is gay. And so there's a lot about, like, the tension of being gay at that time. And, like, he's pseudo out. Like, a lot of people know that he's gay, but, like, most people in his circle are not out. And so he has a couple of different relationships that the book sort of follows. And he, like, it's, like, analyzing snippets of his life over a span of, like, 4 years, basically, while he lives with the Feddens. And so it's literally about his time living with the Feddens, but it's also, like, about the AIDS crisis happening sort of in the background, and, like, friendships evolving and growing and changing. And also, like, Nick has this lingering crush on Toby, who is the son of the Feddens, who was, like, his friend at Oxford. And so, like, that's a big prominent part of it too. And it's called The Line of Beauty because Nick is, like, obsessed with this concept of the line of beauty, which I don't really know what it is, but you can Google it. Or I don't know what it is well enough to explain it to you, but I get it, okay? So I gave this book 4 stars. I think it was fine. It was not on my Spookoplathon TBR. I believe it was on my either July or August TBR, and I have finally finished it. So, cheers to that. I'm gonna bring Arcanum Unbounded, the physical copy I have, so that I can try to read, what is it called? Dawn Shard? Edge Dancer? Dawn Shard is something else, I think. So I can try to read Edge Dancer by Brandon Sanderson, which again is part of the Stormlight Archives. It's about a little under 300 pages. So I'm hoping on my audiobook app, it says that my hold should come in soon, which means less than 2 weeks. So I'm hoping it comes in sooner rather than later, like soon, but I don't know. So we'll see. If it comes in, I'll listen to it, and that'll be very easy. And then I'll pick my next prompt, because I believe that was for the Stephen King prompt, if I'm not mistaken, which I think I have written down somewhere. But in the interim, I have got an audiobook of The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. So I'm going to see if my husband is interested in listening to that on the drive. If he's not, it's not a big deal, but I haven't started it yet because it sounds like something he might be interested in maybe listening to. It's a 9-hour audiobook, and he typically is okay with listening at 1.5 times speed, but no faster. And so we would have time to listen to the whole thing on the drive there if we listen at 1.5 times speed. So we'll see if we do that. But all that to say, my October reading is off to a good start. It is the 5th, and I have finished 3 books. So yay me. Okay, I'll let you know when I have another update. Hello friends, pardon this kind of downward angle. The only tripod I have is like too tall to stand on the desk, but regardless, clearly I'm working from home today. I don't know if that's clear, but this is our office area, also our guest room. We need to wash the sheets and remake this bed for the last time someone stayed in it, but I'm here to give you a quick update. It's now Monday. I don't remember the last time I updated this vlog, but I did go to Kentucky for my good friend's wedding this weekend, and it was so much fun. I don't think I got any footage of the whole wedding. If I can remember, I'll try to post like a picture on the screen somewhere. of it. I was one of the bridesmaids. It was super fun. I had a really good time, but I also lost my voice a little bit. That's why I'm still like a little scraggly, but it was a blast. So I did finish Edge Dancer by Brandon Sanderson, which is I want to call it a novella, but it's like nearly 300 pages. So it is, I think technically that's still like a full-length book, but it's book 2.5 in the Stormlight Archives series, and it follows this girl, Lift. And I think the prologue of that short story, I don't know if it's in everything, but it was in the audiobook that I listened to, and that I've definitely read before. So I don't know what it is. I'll have to look into it. I haven't yet, but Lift basically is a surge binder, I think is what it's called. So she's able to like manipulate the world around her, and she has like special powers. And it just gives you a good background. Brandon Sanderson has an author's note at the end of the audiobook that I listened to that basically talks about how Lift is going to be a main character later. And there's also some other characters in this story that are bigger characters in the Stormlight Archives. And he wanted to explain sort of why they have the perspectives that they have and how they got to where they are, kind of. So he wanted to give the background in a separate story. So that's what it is. I really enjoyed it. I will say it's been so long since I've read anything from the Stormlight Archives that I was a little like fuzzy on the details. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to know who a lot of these characters are already or if they will be introduced later. But I am hoping to keep the momentum going and sort of continue reading Stormlight now that I have just read this, because I really like, I need to finish. I think there's 3 books out that I haven't, maybe just there's up to book 5, which I think, so there's 3 books that I haven't read, which would be the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. I think that's correct. I also went ahead and got an audiobook of The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates, and it's really good. It's about this girl, Adrienne, who gets a house that is inherited to her from a great aunt that she didn't know she had, and she shows up at this house, and immediately there's creepy, weird things happening with it. It's in this very tiny town, and she like sort of learns about the house from the other members of the town. I will say, I expected this book to be way more like straight horror than it actually is. It almost had like the vibes of like a cozy mystery for the first like 55%. Even the first spooky things that started happening were very like spooky, not scary, if that makes sense. It does get to a point where it's like, ugh, like creepy and gross, almost like more horror leaning for me. But I was pleasantly surprised by the lack of, obviously if you're looking for something that's gonna like really scare the pants off you, I don't think this is it. But I wound up really enjoying this book. Like I didn't know if I was going to love it, because at the beginning I was like, this is a little kooky for me. But it's not actually kooky. It just is. It honestly might even be the narrator. Something about, I listened to it as an audiobook while I was driving, but something about the way that it was like going, it almost had like that kooky, like cozy vibe. But I wound up really, really liking it. I thought it was really well balanced between like the horror elements and the like day-to-day life elements. I also felt like the main character, sometimes I feel like main characters in horror books are very stupid. I did not feel like Adrienne was stupid. She also has a cat companion. So if you are doing this readathon and you land on the black, oh, it's too late. Oh my gosh. I just realized, I don't know if I'm going to post this vlog. I think I'm actually going to put this up before the end of the month. So if you're watching this before the end of October, then if you land on the prompt for the black cat or whatever, the Taylor Swift lyric about cats, I think is what it is. Or maybe it's just the spooky one. I don't know. There's a prompt about cats. The Haunting of Ashburn House would be a good book to read, because the main character has a cat named Wolfgang who is like, not like a main character, but like he is her main companion throughout the book. So anyways, I really enjoyed this book. I don't know what I was expecting from it, but I really liked it. And also the ending went down really well for me, which I feel like also I can struggle with in horror books. So I was very pleased with that. But that was not for a Spookoplathon prompt. That was just to read because. So I'm going to pick another prompt here in a second, and then I will let you know what book I'm reading. But I'm going to show you the clip of me picking the prompt right now. Okay, so here we are. We're going to roll the dice. A 4 and a 2, so that's a 6. And I think we left off on Stephen King, if I'm not mistaken, which is right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A chance card. Give me 1 second. Okay, so chance is to pick from a stack of chance cards. I forgot to do this until right now, so I've just made a list of 20 books that I'm interested in reading. A lot of them are mystery and thrillers that I'm interested in, some horror that I'm interested in. Some books I just have holds from, so I thought I'd put them on here. Other books are books that I've been meaning to read, and then I've got some finales to series that I'm reading. So that's basically what's going on here, but we're gonna go ahead and pick a number from 1 to 24, which is Lolita. Perfect. Hello. So as you just saw, we got Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, which is a Russian classic about a pedophile. So really interesting. And by interesting, I mean horrifying. I have a list of like the most disturbing books ever published that I'm like trying to read through at some point. I originally was gonna do like a disturbing books, what is the word? Like book club. But I'm too lazy to do that right now. I don't have the emotional or like mental capacity to run a book club like that. So, good grief. I'm gonna read you the synopsis from Goodreads. The reason this was even on the list is because I placed it on hold for my library a while ago when I wanted an audiobook. So I got the audiobook in this weekend. So I now have the audiobook of this, and I want to read it for my home friends out, which I think is in like 10 days. So should be pretty quick to read. Let me just get the synopsis for you and I will read that for you. Okay, so very creepy already. It says, Humbert Humbert, a scholar, aesthete, and romantic. I don't know how to pronounce aesthete. I've seen that word a couple times. I think it just means a person who's very into the aesthetics of things. Anyways, has fallen completely and utterly in love with Dolores Hayes, his landlady's gum-snapping 12-year-old daughter. Gross. So reluctantly agreeing to marry Miss Hayes just to be close to Lolita, Humbert suffers greatly in the pursuit of romance. But when Lo herself starts looking for attention elsewhere, he will carry her off on a desperate cross-country misadventure in all in the name of love. Hilarious, flamboyant, heartbreaking, and full of ingenious wordplay, Lolita is an immaculate, unforgettable masterpiece of obsession, desire, and delusion. Of obsession, delusion, and lust. So, I'm intrigued to read this book because, I don't know, it just seems like first of all, it's a very touchy subject. Second of all, I'm really curious to see the way that this handles it because it was written in 1955. And like, I'm pretty sure, I guess I don't know, I haven't read it yet, but I'm pretty sure that the author is not like wanting you to root for Humbert Humbert. I think it's just more of a like showing you what, like, making you open your eyes to something very disturbing. So we'll see how I feel about this one after I read it. Wish me luck. I know it's a pretty controversial take, and I think I even made a video at one point saying that this was a book that I never wanted to read, but I lied because I'm gonna read it now. So I'll let you know when I have more updates on that, and then we can pick another book for another prompt.
Hello. It is Thursday. I just finished Lolita. I don't think I updated it at all while I was reading it. I seriously was considering DNFing it. When this day started, I think I was like less than 30% of the way through. But I used like some time. I had some busy work to do this afternoon, so I read a little bit, and I read while I listened. I have an audiobook. I listened while I made dinner. I've listened for a couple hours tonight, like 2 hours tonight. So I finished it. I don't know what I'm going to rate this. Can you guys stop licking? They're like in a train. Do you see them? So he's licking his own paws and he was licking him. And like, sometimes I'm just trying to film. I don't know. But now Murphy's looking at me like I've really offended him. I'm sorry. Carry on. Just stop licking. I don't know what I'm going to read it. It's about Humbert Humbert, who is a pedophile, and he is in jail for something we don't really know why, and writing letters, like his memoir. He's writing it down in jail, and he's talking about the events of his life, basically, but most of it focuses on his relationship with this girl, Dolores Hayes, who was his stepdaughter, or is his stepdaughter. I don't know. And she was in his like desired age range, which I guess was 9 to 14. And so he has relations with her. It's interesting because obviously she's been groomed. But it seems like, not that the relationship is like mutual, but like they have like a certain amount of like back and forth and like an understanding of their relationship. And it's just about the way that evolves and then eventually devolves. And I don't know, I thought it was a really interesting take. And I don't think the writer, Vladimir Nabokov, he doesn't seem ever to like
be on Humbert's side. So it's like Humbert is telling you the facts of what, or his perception of what happened, but also like reckoning with it from like the future perspective. I don't know. I think it was an interesting read. I don't necessarily think it was like a great, that's the other thing. It was really well written. I'm having a hard time with this because I rate based on enjoyment, and I did not enjoy my time reading this as much as I would enjoy reading something else maybe. But all of that being said, I'll probably settle it at a 3-star. That's probably what I'll end up giving it. Because frankly, I want to read other stuff by this author because he has such a poetic and like, I don't know, nice to read writing style. And also if you can get the audiobook, it's really good. Like the narrator does a really good job with the audiobook, I thought. Like his intonation was really good. His like the way that his voice ebbed and flowed. I guess it's all intonation, but like he did a really good job of like creating the character of Humbert by reading this, if that makes sense. So I didn't hate it as much as I was expecting to, I guess. And then because I was disliking it so much, I went ahead and picked my next category. I haven't started this book yet, but I'm going to just roll that clip for you. As you can see, I landed on Community Chest, and I didn't make these cards. I figured the odds of me landing on them were pretty slim, so I didn't bother with it, and I've landed on 2 now, because the last one was a chance card, so I just randomly picked a book from my TBR of books that I like wanted to read. And then for Community Chest, I used a website. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it was like TBR prompts, and it told me to read a horror book, which is perfect because it's Halloween, and I decided I'm going to read The Haunting of Lee Harker by Darcy Coates. Is that what it is? I think so. Now that I'm saying that out loud, I feel like I'm mixing things up, but I think it's The Haunting of Lee Harker by Darcy Coates. And I'm reading this because, as I mentioned, I listened to The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked the way it was written. I thought it had a great gothic atmosphere. And I thought it had enough like cozy elements where it wasn't just like full horror all the time, but also the horror elements were really well done, in my opinion, for I guess what I like. Like it was just gory and gross enough without being too much for me personally. So I am going to start reading that. I do have that as an audiobook as well through Hoopla, which is an app that I have with my library. So I'm going to listen to that. And I'll let you know how my progress is going. I also wanted to give you some updates on like life stuff. I think I'm going to do this in 2 separate vlogs. So I think this section is going to go up this Sunday, and then the next one will go up at the beginning of November in lieu of a wrap up. So that's my thought for that, which you'll know if I did that based on when you're seeing this. But this weekend on, I don't know what my dogs just heard, but they just ran to the door. On Friday, we're going to a friend's house for dinner. And then Saturday we have this thing called Brew at the zoo here, which is like you buy tickets, and I think the tickets were like $50. They're kind of expensive, but you buy tickets and then you go to the zoo at night when it's like technically closed and it's only event members, and they have vendors. And so you can get like, there's like 30 or 40 breweries from around here that go, and you get free beer. So we're going to that. I'm very excited. We wanted to go last year, but it was sold out by the time we like got around to buying tickets. I have a friend who works at the zoo, so she's who like keeps us on track with zoo events. So I think it'll be really fun. And then I'm also probably going to hang out with my sister and her kids on Saturday as well. So like Saturday earlier in the day. But that's the plan. So I don't know if I'm going to get much progress in this book. I hope I will. Tomorrow I have to go. It's only like 30 minutes away, but I'm going to a deposition about 30 minutes from my office. So I'll have like an hour in the car, which will be like 3 hours, I think, 2.5 2 to 3 hours of the audiobook. I can't remember how fast the narrator speaks. But I feel like I listened to The Haunting of Ashburn House at like 2.75. So, and it was only like, it was not a very long audiobook. I think it was like 10 hours. So hopefully I can get some good stuff done and I can give you an update. But that will probably be my last update for this vlog. This update has been kind of long now, so sorry about that. The other thing I wanted to say is I'm still reading The English Patient. I'm not that much farther in that. I don't think I'm like a third of the way through. It's good. I really am enjoying it. It's just because I'm like prioritizing my Spookoplathon reads, which is why I haven't read more of that. I did renew my loan today because it's not on hold by anybody, so I have it for another 3 weeks. So I might just put that off until November. We'll see. I'll read it if I'm like between things and need like an ebook to read. The other thing I got, or the other thing I've been reading, I don't know if I've mentioned this at all, is I'm continuing in my reread of the Scythe trilogy, so that I can read Gleanings, and I'm currently rereading Thunderhead. So I'm not super far into that either, but that's my physical book at the moment, so I'm probably going to read some of that tonight before I go to sleep. But right now, I'm probably just going to watch YouTube videos for a little bit because I'm finished with the Lolita, and that was my, like, checklist task for the day. So yeah, I'll catch up with you in a minute. Or it'll be, like, in a second for you, but for me, it'll be probably tomorrow or the next day.
You're making Daddy so proud. She's like, what did you put on?
She's too nasty. You look so cute.
Three, two, one. You say that as we're clearly in their house.
Yeah.
It's Sunday. It's gonna be the last day of this vlog, and then I will do the last half of October in a different vlog because I've got a lot of footage so far and I've read quite a few books. The shadows on my face are making me look a little insane. So like this, it's shadow, it's fine. But I did want to quickly update you on the last things that I read, or the last thing that I read. I read The Haunting of Lee Harker by Darcy Coates, and it was really good. I will say it's quite different from her other book, which is good, but it's also written like stylistically kind of different. The other book was very slow to start and it got a lot of build up of this girl moving to the town, and like there was a lot of more cozy atmosphere. Lee Harker basically starts with Lee having like a nightmare, and then she's in her house and she senses a presence in her house, and it's all about her trying to like figure out what this presence is and how to like interact with it. And it has a very interesting twist that I was not expecting. The ending was also really good. So I really did enjoy it. I think I'm going to give it also 4 stars, but it's more of a 3.5 star for me just because the pacing on it, I did not like as much as I liked the other book. But it is very creepy, very spooky, got a really good atmosphere. So if you're looking for like a horror to read this time of year, I really like Darcy Coates. I think I'm going to add a couple more of her books to my TBR and see where we go from there. I did already do my next roll for this game and picked a book for it, but I'm going to just go ahead and start that in the next vlog. So you stay tuned if you want to know about that. But I did go to a couple of thrift stores today. Matt and I went to several to buy our Halloween costume stuff. We're going to go as Magenta and Zach from Sky High, which I think is going to be really fun. So we didn't buy I didn't find a ton of stuff, but I did find some things. But I found a lot of books. So I'm just going to quickly run through those. I'm not going to tell you what they're all about because I don't actually know what all of these are about, but they were all on like my list of books that I do want to read, like on my TBR. So there's a lot. I think I've got like 10 books here. We went to a Goodwill and then we went to City Thrift. So first I got Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Groudon. This I believe is a series. I think there's 2 books in the series. And this is an alternate history book where the front just says the race to kill Hitler begins. And so it's like alternate history, which I believe like the Nazis won World War II in this series. So it says, yeah, the year is 1956 and the Axis powers of the Third Reich and Imperial Japan rule. To commemorate their great victory, they host the Axis Tour, an annual motorcycle race across their conjoined continents. The prize, an audience with the highly reclusive Adolf Hitler at the Victor's Ball in Tokyo. So I've been wanting to read this series for a long time, and I'm excited that I found this book because I've never like seen it in person before, if that makes sense. Like I've never found it at a bookstore, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Sorry if you can hear the dogs running around, they're running around. I also got Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I read The Wife Upstairs by this author, which was a Jane Eyre retelling, I believe. So this says, are you ready to set sail? And I think this is like on an island. I want to say this is like a 1-by-1 retelling, maybe. So I'm excited to read this. I've heard mixed things about this, but I liked the other book by this author, so I am happy to give that a chance. I also got I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, which this is an interesting cover because it's like, this is on the cover, which is a quote that says, we were all heading for each other on a collision course no matter what. Maybe some people are just meant to be in the same story. And then I'll Give You the Sun is underneath here, but this is the cover I usually see with this book. And these are about twins. I don't really know much about this. I know this is YA contemporary and I've heard really good things about it. I think there is a movie on this too, but I might be wrong about that. But I've never read this. I'm excited to read this. It is on my list again. And then I have Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson. This is another book that has been on my list for a long time. I don't know if this was like shortlisted for a prize. I want to say it was, but it doesn't say anything on here about that. So I'm not exactly sure why this ended up on my list, but I assume it was on one of those like book lists of books you should read or something in around 2018. So I'm excited to read this. It says, an unexpected teenage pregnancy pulls together two families from different social classes. 16 years later, it is the evening of that child's coming of age ceremony in her grandparents' Brooklyn brownstone. She is surrounded by loved ones and friends, making her entrance to the music of Prince in a dress originally intended for her mother a generation earlier. Moving backward and forward in time, Red at the Bone is the story of these families and how they arrived at this moment and beyond. So I like multi-generational family stories, which we've talked about before. If you've been around here. I am excited to read this, and I hope that I like it. At some point, I will read it. Then the last book. Did I get all of these at the other store? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this might be the last book that I got at Goodwill. This is Girls Like Us by Christina Alger. This is a mystery thriller. I don't know that much about it, but oh, it's about an FBI agent. I didn't realize that. I usually don't like procedurals. So we'll see how I feel about this, but it's about FBI agent Nell Flynn, who hasn't been home in 10 years. Nell and her father, homicide detective Martin Flynn, have never had much of a relationship, and Suffolk County will always be awash in memories of her mother, who was brutally murdered when Nell was just 7. But when Martin dies in a motorcycle accident, Nell must return home to close his estate, and in the process, she ends up becoming involved in the last case her father worked, an investigation into the brutal murder of 2 young women. So, I like a mystery thriller. I'm excited to read that one at some point. On the same like mystery thriller path, I got The Dry and Force of Nature by Jane Harper. I think these are in a series with each other, but I could be wrong about that, so do not quote me on that. But I read another Jane Harper book that I can't remember the name of right now. These are in the Erin Falk series. And I heard about Jane Harper originally from Literary Diversions here on YouTube. I will try to remember to link her channel down below. She is Scottish and she really likes Jane Harper's books. Jane Harper is an Australian author, and I wish I could remember what it was called. I really liked the book that she wrote that I read that I can't remember the name of right now, but it's interesting because she writes in Australia, and I really love Australia as a setting. Specifically, I love when Australia is like its own character type in the book. Like Jane Harper does a really good job of making the desert of Australia its own like character, which is something that I really enjoy. So I also got West with Giraffes by Linda Rutledge. I don't know what this is about. This again has been on my list for a long time. It says, it's 1938, the Great Depression lingers, Hitler is threatening Europe, and world-weary Americans long for wonder. They find it in 2 giraffes who miraculously survive a hurricane while crossing the Atlantic. What follows is a 12-day road trip in a custom truck to deliver Southern California's first giraffes to the San Diego Zoo. Behind the wheel is the young Dust Bowl Rowdy Woodrow. I think Kamal Woodrow. I think that's his name. Inspired by true events, the tale weaves real-life figures with fictional ones, including the world's first female zoo director, a crusty old man with a past, a young female photographer with a secret, and assorted reprobates as spotty as the giraffes. So I am excited about this. It's like a road trip book, clearly. Again, it's been on my list for quite some time, and I'm excited to get to it. I got Anatomy of a Scandal, which I know is either it's a Netflix series now, so it's a TV show. I think this is also a mystery thriller, but I want to say this is like a domestic thriller. I thought it had something to do with like, a high profile trial. So this has something to do with like, it's like a legal thriller of sorts. I do occasionally enjoy legal thrillers, and I thought it'd be fun to read this and then watch the show. And the last thing I picked up was Cider House Rules by John Irving. I don't another John Irving book on my shelves that I haven't read yet, which is A Prayer for Owen Meany. Cider House Rules it's a movie too. This is like an older book. I think this is considered a modern classic. And I'm not entirely sure, again, what it is about, but it says it's witty, tenderhearted, fervent, and scarifying. This novel is an example of This novel is an example, now rare, of the courage of the imaginative ardor. So I don't know that much about it. I believe it is about a family, and like, I don't know if it's multi-generational or not, but I believe it is about this family. And it's more of like a character-driven book than anything. But again, I'm excited to read it. Those are the books that I picked up recently. Thank you for watching this vlog. If you made it to this point, leave an apple for the Cider House Rules in the comments down below. Also, feel free to let me know if you are participating in Bookoplathon, or Spookoplathon, I guess, and what you are reading for it. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this vlog and how you felt about them, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye!